Mark Skaar on the Skaar Kaard on 103.7 The Fox, and I'm proud to welcome in Mr. George Lynch. How are you, sir?
Hey, buddy. Good. I walked into my studio and then called you, sort of recalibrating here.
Well, we got a lot to discuss, and I wanted to start with a new Lynch Mob record. It's called Babylon, and it's coming out on Frontiers. Congratulations.
Thank you. You work really hard on these records, and you write all the songs, and you play all the guitars, and you work on the mix and the arrangements, and you get everything together and everything, and you deliver it, and it's crickets for like 5 months. It's funny because I've been doing, quite a few interviews for this and for this Lynch Mob Babylon record, but I don't have the record. Invariably, interviewers ask me questions about the songs, and I can't remember.
Right. The only thing I've heard is Time After Time. Let's talk about that. Tell me about that song.
Oh, we ripped off Cyndi Lauper. She ripped us off in the future, I think is what happened. Yeah.
A time machine was involved, yes.
Because that Lynch Mob, they're going to write that song, I'm going to beat them to the punch. Well, the reason we called it, entitled it that, was because it had what I consider not as strong of a title hook, and I was listening to what Gabriel was working on when he was working on the lyrics and the melodies for the song, and I just those words popped out when I heard it. I go, well, that they were in the verse, so I just said, well, you know what, use that. That to me is the obvious hook. And he goes, well, it's a Cyndi Lauper song. I go, who cares? You know? I mean, if anything, that'll work to our advantage because then it'll identify with a huge major hit, which it was. So,
talking with George Lynch about Babylon. And 10 songs on this record. Maybe we should talk about the band. Jimmy DeAndo, of course, has been with you for years, but the other guys are fairly new.
Yeah, they are. Jaron is a really interesting story. Basically, bottom line, and I know it sounds a little corny and self-indulgent and maybe over the top, but it's no joke. This guy feels like his destiny and has been to play with this band. And he's been so committed to the idea and that belief that he's literally, and I'm not exaggerating, been flying himself out, making himself available, coming to lots and lots of shows over the years, for years and years and years, just sort of hanging out, meeting us, kind of dissecting everything, digesting everything, analyzing. He's good friends with Anthony Esposito, the first bass player in Lynch Mob, and just doing his research. It's kind of an unbelievable story. And he's right. He, sound-wise, style-wise, personality-wise, character-wise, work ethic-wise, and in every possible way you can think, he is the perfect guy for this band. You couldn't invent this guy in a laboratory to be more perfect. Just a great human being. And he does what I've seen quite a few bass players do, is they become this kind of Swiss Army knife in the band. They kind of fill in all the gaps. So, like, I do my thing. I play, obviously, you know what I do. Mm-hmm. And the singer, usually pretty limited in focus what they do. They do their thing. But Jaron sort of takes up the responsibility of kind of everything else. Logistics. He's involved in planning and getting things lined up for the touring with the travel agent, with publicity and marketing, with artwork for the merchandising, and then getting that stuff, helping getting that stuff made and shipped, and just all around, just kind of being like the on-the-ground, almost a management team, all in one person. It's pretty insane, plus his normal thing that he does, which is have play bass perfectly for this band, the style, and get a perfect sound, kind of very particular kind of bass sound that very few guys do anymore, which is what Jeff Pilson does, and Jimmy Bain and Anthony Esposito to a certain extent. This kind of that big three-dimensional, grindy SVT, holding it down groove bass. I mean, that's a thing that's kind of hard to find.
Sure.
And he does wonderful. He looks fantastic, and he's just a great, unbelievably great person. Just so funny and smart, and just a pleasure to be around. And then Gabriel was kind of put in front of me as a potential singer years ago, and repeatedly for many years. And I remember one of the heads of the label I work with had kept pointing him out, and I, for some reason, didn't see him. I mean, I think I spoke to him, but I just was like passed him over, and I don't know why, honestly. Maybe I was just distracted. And so the last time around, when we actually ended up joining forces, I invited him to my house, and we had like a little bongo jam session with the band, just drumsticks and on bongos and sitting in the living room with acoustic guitars. And he sat on a stool and just blew our minds. And he's very shy and he's just very sweet and shy. And so he's the opposite of the egotistical, stereotypical rock lead singer. He's not that. And I thought that was very refreshing. And he's come out of this show quite a bit. There was a little bit of a learning curve getting comfortable on stage with us and playing a different kind of music because he comes from more of a metal background. But he has taken it to like a fish to water. You can tell he loves the craft of songwriting that he's, different kind of songwriting that he's used to, and just the thing that we do on stage, which he's adapted himself to, and been comfortable just with us personally. We spend a lot of time together. We're on the road, driving for hours or hanging out at the hotel or the gig, and we just have fun. I mean, it's just a wonderful group of guys that work really hard and very confident. We go out, we kick ass every time, and it's just wonderful. But yes, Gabriel and Jaron are a younger generation than Jimmy and I. So there is that little bit of a divide, but it's not anything that you would really notice when we're hanging out together. It's pretty seamless, and actually I think it energizes the group to some extent.
Talking with George Lynch, I want to shift gears because you're involved in so much music. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Guitars at the End of the World, another instrumental record from you that just came out. And let's talk about that. And how hard is it or easy is it to come up with song titles for songs that don't have lyrics?
Oh, that's the easiest thing in the world, because you can call it anything.
That's true.
There's no hook. There's no melody. There's nothing to relate to lyrically or idea-wise or what the concept, other than, it has to match the style of the song, arguably. Whatever that song seems to conjure up, you just need a label on it that matches that, to some extent. So it's actually fun to name instrumentals. I should start an instrumental naming company in Hollywood.
There you go. You might be onto something.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be... You can get in on the ground floor if you want to get some of them stock options.
I'm in.
Yeah, it's going to be like Intel in the 50s, it's going to split 10 times. Oh, yeah. You'll never have to work another day in your life.
For those that don't know, there's a cool video on the Rat Pack page about the making of that record, and I watched a little bit of it before I called you, and it's pretty fascinating. It looks like it was, tedious yet fun to do.
Yeah. It's, we went out of our way to extend ourselves and try some different things, different locations, different gear. I'm a firm believer that your environment influences you, the people and places around you, so we ended up, going to different studios and different locations, as I said, to create different vibes for different songs. And it's a bit of work and a little more challenging, but rather than sitting in one place. But I kind of had this idea in my head and wanted to go through with it. I did have to scale it down. It's funny. It's almost like a Key and Peele sketch where they start. I don't know if you've ever seen that sketch where Key and Peele are in this progressive metal band, and at first they have a budget. And as the video progresses, you see their budget diminishing. Where first it starts off with all this incredible CGI, and it was just, and at the end, they're, have cardboard swords with a fucking, a fake paper dragon taped to the tree in their backyard to end the fight. There's a little bit of that going on with a lot of that going on with us trying to, kind of make this world record. Initially, we were like, we're going to go to all these strange, interesting places all around the world. And then, I kept, we don't really have it in the budget. We'll have to restrict this to North and South America. And then, everything north of the fucking equator, it's going to have to stay within the continental United States and probably the western continental United States. Then it'd be, pretty much going to stick to California. And, it's just ratcheting down. So we didn't have quite this world music kind of, recording a song with Shaman and some, put Papua New Guinea and then go on, wherever. It just ended up being a little more localized, but still we pulled something off, and it was pretty cool.
Talking with George Lynch. Another thing I want to talk to you, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, George, when the first Heavy Hitters came out, I thought, oh, great, somebody else is just going to throw out an album of covers, and it's just going to be lame. And you know what? I listened to it, and I'm like, wow, This is not what I expected at all, and I really enjoyed it and was really happy when Heavy Hitters 2 came out and was announced. And then on top of it, the icing on the cake for me, I'm a big Bernard Fowler fan, and I thought this is going to be even better, and I think it is.
I think it is too, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Bernard needs to be, his solo talents need to be showcased more. He's that guy, he's definitely bridges that R&B with the rock thing so well. And being in Rolling Stones, of course, is nothing wrong with that. That's great, but you can tell he's just kind of waiting to be unleashed. So when he does get a chance to get out there and strut his stuff and do his thing, it's goosebumps, man. I just love him, love his voice. He's such a great guy. And so it was an absolute pleasure to work with him and listen to how he just injected vitality and life into these. Jeff and I's attempt to cover what is essentially a lot of R&B stuff, really. Mm-hmm. And it just was fascinating. Listen to him do that, and he's such a pro. Yeah. So yeah, the Heavy Hitters record is something it's a lot of fun for us to do. I mean, you asked, how hard is it to name instrumental songs? Well, it's easy and it's fun. Almost the same thing with these cover records, the Heavy Hitter records. They're easy, and you still have to rearrange the songs and rewrite them in your own way. So there was definitely some writing going on. But it takes some of the pressure away, pre-existing songs, and divert that energy into just having fun with the performance. So a lot of times sometimes with my other records, I'm so invested and involved in every single aspect of the album creating process that I don't sometimes feel I put enough energy into what I'm really supposed to be focusing on, which is playing my guitar, mm-hmm. which I do focus on that. It's not like it's my 100% has 100% of my attention, because I'm also considering, the budgets and other people's performances and the songwriting, the arrangements and the mixing and the editing and the artwork and just logistics of making an album and all the other elements of it. So a lot of times I'm thinking about that stuff when I'm working on it. And with the Heavy Hitters record, it's much more relaxed, because really I'm just kind of having fun with old songs that we grew up with.
Or newer songs, as the case is some of the time.
Yeah, we run the gamut. I mean, Jeff's and I's favorite thing is to do like R&B stuff, but to keep it interesting and topical, we go through the decades and the ages of different people and mix it up, try to make it interesting. So you're right, yeah. All eras are represented.
I want to ask you briefly about some of these other projects that may or may not have things going on, and you can give me an update real quick if you'd be so kind as to do that. I'm going to start with The End Machine.
On this third End Machine record, we did have a title for it, but the title escapes me at the moment. But it's essentially finished, except for the mix. And, everybody says this about every one of their records, but this is definitely the cream of the crop End Machine record. The label, they sort of blew their minds. They were like, wait a minute, what? And blew our own minds when we did it, too. We were just like, oh, man, come on. Hopefully we finally got this right. Jeff and I look at each other. We've been working together for many years and done so many records, and we're always going for the same thing. I don't care what we call it, the Dokken record or TNN or LP or The End Machine or this or that. We're always really just trying to do the same thing, get to our vision. And sometimes we attain it and sometimes we don't. But on this record, I think we've gotten the closest we've ever gotten to our ideal.
And you got a new singer, too, on that project.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the, not taking away from Robert Mason. Robert Mason's got us here, and he's an unbelievable singer and a great friend. But this is the label actually brought this guy up to us, and his name is Girish, and he's from India. But he looks fantastic. He sounds he's kind of like this new breed, one of these new breed guys, that just this new generation of rock singers that are just doing things that we couldn't even imagine in the 80s. This guy has it all. Just phenomenal, exciting, electrifying voice. And we had to really make sure we could come up to his level. That's the way I look at it. Jeff and I are like, we got to raise the bar, man, for us. I experienced that feeling when I did the Dirty Shirley record a few years ago, whatever it was. And that singer,
Dino.
Just blew my... And it was so funny because I initially wrote an album and I was under contract to the label, Italian label, and they said, well, we got this singer Dino, and I, for some reason, thought that it was an Italian pop singer.
Oh.
I don't know why I thought that. I just read or misunderstood that. Apparently I did. And so I wrote this song, these songs that were kind of popish, and then I heard the guy's voice. I go, what the this guy, what? This guy's from another planet. So I had to go rethink everything and rewrite it. It was pretty funny. He was not an Italian pop singer.
No. Dino is not that. There's also been 3 KXM records. Are there going to be any more of those?
We've been knocking it around and talking about it, and, you kind of get one of the guys will try, hey, let's do this, and then somebody else will go, well, yeah, we all say yeah, but then it's like, but we got this going on.
Sure.
And, it's just Ray's building this monster studio in Nashville, and he's busy with the Korn, always busy with the Korn record and Korn touring, and I've got a lot going on, and Doug's got a lot going on, and we're in different parts of the country. So it's just, I don't know. I mean, in some ways, we talked about it. We're like, we kind of did 3, and it's beautiful, and maybe that's all it needs to be, Maybe that story is told,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a huge Doug Pinnick fan.
I mean, you can never get to enough Doug Pinnick. All of us are, right? So just for that reason alone, I would love to. But just to have another shot at getting in a studio with Dougie and Ray and have fun and create another interesting animal. But I don't know. It's up in the air.
If listeners want to keep in touch with you, they can go to any of George's social medias and keep in touch and keep on top of all the latest stuff that you are doing.
Yeah, join my Patreon.
Okay.
Watch the guitar. Yeah, I sit out in the pasture in New Mexico with my yak and my steer and animals surrounding me and give guitar lessons. There's
virtually none better, ladies and gentlemen. George, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much, man. I hope we get a chance to talk again soon.
That's George Lynch. I'm Mark Skaar on the Skaar Kaard, the new classic rock that rocks on 103.7 The Fox.